So for those of you on the channel that pretty much just watch for fight picks, and I know there's a lot of you on the channel who go through a lot of different YouTube channels to see what pickers on YouTube or prediction people, betting guide people are picking for different fights, and you kind of want to combine that with your own research, or there's certain people that you like to tail. Well, there's a new channel that is very, very interesting, and I'm going to give my thoughts on it. I think it's very cool. You guys might like to subscribe to this channel too, and I'm going to talk about it today. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Kyle. I am your guy with many YouTube channels. So the content that I'm talking about over here is a newer, as far as I'm aware, a newer channel. Yeah, there's only 13 videos on the channel. So it is UFC Predictions Tracker. It's a very, very fascinating channel because what they do over on this channel is take all of the UFC predictors over here, and I might get a little bit of audio for a second. Excuse me. Let's just pause that really quick. It's a really cool channel. The guy who does it is really honest, which I really like. So they take all of the predictors from UFC and they kind of dive into all of the different picks. Like I'm going to go over here. This is an example of what I'm talking about. You have correct predictions 50% or lower, correct predictions 55% higher, and you list all of the different channels. And that's even better because when you dive into a videos for overview of all predictions for UFC Fight Night in Denver, you can go through every fight specifically. Sorry if you just heard a little bit of audio over there. And of course, like you can see all of the different channels over there, and they go through every fight. So Montel Jackson versus Damon Blackshear, you can see this, and you can see all of the different predictors and who they chose. I think this is a really cool idea for a channel. I think it's pretty cool for those people because there are a lot of people who spend a lot of time watching a bunch of different predictors, people who are serious about betting, right? They want to get like, okay, most people are kind of picking Montel Jackson to win. A lot of people in this space have pretty good takes when it comes to MMA. They have pretty good reads. I think this is really cool, but there's one issue that I have with it, and that's what we're going to get into in just a second. But first of all, if you guys are just watching MMA content, MMA prediction videos to literally just get the picks and nothing else, this is absolutely the channel that you want to go to. This isn't my cup of tea necessarily because what I like to do, the channels that I like to watch more of the channels that are kind of like me in the sense of, okay, it's a fight fan breaking down fights. That's why I like to watch Guru, the MMA fortune teller. I like to watch Angelo from We Want Picks. That's just, I'm not going to list everybody that I watch, but you get the point. Like the people who enjoy fights and the people who know what they're talking about for fights, I enjoy watching their breakdowns. I don't go and watch for the picks, if that makes sense. But this definitely has a huge niche. But the reason why I personally really like watching this channel is because I don't, and to go take Montel Jackson, Damon Blackshear, for example, like we did, I don't watch nearly all of these channels. So it's interesting to see like my name over here with Clenbat. I think it's cool to see that I'm in the minority for picking Damon Blackshear while everybody else is picking this fight over here. My only issue with this, and I don't know if any other content creators will have this issue, is the picks are there, right? But if you were to take fight, like I'm going to take this pass card, for example. Let's take a look at Joshua Van, Charles Johnson. If you guys remember what I was talking about, I was talking about like, I think this should be closer to a pick'em fight. I don't know who's going to win, but for the sake of the video, I'm going to pick Joshua Van. The issue with that is all we're getting from this is, okay, I picked Joshua Van and I was incorrect. And then they has a follow-up video with that. And I'm not hating on the video or anything. Don't get me wrong. I don't know how we can fix this because then you go back to the channel and you can see the most corrects and money won. That's the problem. Because I think I was for this one, regardless, there was one video that he made. I think it was, I don't remember if it was this one, but if you go through all of the losing, the losing streak over here, this is where I was like, okay, this is the problem because I'm at the top, right? 2 weeks losing streak. And I'm not making excuses for bad picks or anything, don't get me wrong, but there were so many different fights on here. And again, I need you guys to say, like, understand, I'm not being salty about this or anything like that because at the end of the day, I did end up picking fights incorrectly. And my issue is there were half the fights on this card where I was like, well, this is a close fight. This should be a pick'em. I spent so much time literally in the betting guide saying, hey, you might want to stay away from this card because there's a lot of upsets. There's a lot of fights where I don't know what we can pick. For example, like I'll go back to the Tapology page right now. And for the last UFC Fight Night card, just off the top of my head, let me bring you back over to Tapology over here. Rose Namajunas versus Tracy Cortez. I said it was a pick'em fight. Same with Muslim Salikov versus Santiago Ponzinibbio. But the problem is there's so many fights on here where I was like, I don't know who's going to win. Both guys can win. For the sake of the video, I'm going to pick Muslim Salikov. I ended up getting that pick right. but I was still not confident in that pick whatsoever. There were very few fights on this card specifically that I was confident in, okay? Let's talk about, like, I picked Evan Elder to win. That was a solid pick. Jasmine Jastovicius, I was very confident in to win. Christian Rodriguez was very confident to win in this fight. I said was a pick'em. I remember that for sure. Gabriel Bonfim, Angelusa. I thought that Angelusa was personally a very, very underrated fighter and ended up being kind of a close fight. But the problem is, for those results, those people end up watching the channel, and don't get me wrong, people aren't going to come over here and hate or anything. It's just, it's interesting because, again, at the end of the day, I did pick these fights. But I wish there was something like taking things into account, the confidence level, because for some fights, I'm like, okay, I'm like 55-45 on this fight. And then I end up, because I picked somebody with like a 55 percentage, well, I picked this fight wrong. When in reality, something that I always talk about on this channel is, this is the highest level sport in the world. These fights are so hard to predict. If you're sitting here and having an entire full card of solid, confident picks, I think you're talking out of your ass. Like, I think that it's impossible to predict half of these fights. So I wish there was a sense, and on this card too, I believe I had 5 bets for the members only. If you guys would like to check up on that, I have a betting recap video, okay? And I talk about the bets, and the bets that I talked about before, the bets are for members only, of course. If I'm not mistaken, we had 5 bets. If not, we had 4 bets. We lost one of the bets. I had a single unit, or excuse, a whole unit play on every single one of those bets on that card, and I was majorly successful. So for my confident bets, for the fights that I was confident in, where I was putting my money where my mouth is, I was majorly successful. And the problem is, you have the channel coming out where it's like, okay, and I'm not, I personally find it funny, okay? I'm number 1 for most money lost on a 2-week losing streak. So that's the only issue that I have with this channel. It's not even necessarily an issue, because it's not like we talked about some dude from a long time ago where he's actually having people coming over to the channel, which I don't personally care about. And plus, this could work out. If I have a good week, and I have a good week of picks, it's just a 2-week losing streak. But I find it very, very interesting the way that this content is done. And I don't know if this is necessarily even worth, like, I don't mean to come off like I'm complaining, don't get me wrong. I just wish that there was a little bit more to it, because ultimately the video is about, like, I think it's super cool that you can just check up on how everybody's doing. I just wish that for some channels, and I know there's other channels that do this too, I just wish that if somebody was saying something to the extent of, this guy can win, but this guy could win too, but for the sake of the video, I'm going to go with Verna Jandaroba, right? I just wish stuff like that wasn't included. Because like I said, again, at the end of the day, I ended up picking these fights, but then I see myself on, and apologies, my face cam's covering it over here. Maybe we can just go to a cut over here. Yeah, there we go. The least correct picks, we have Clenbat on there. It's understandable, but at the end of the day, the vast majority of these fights, I have been making betting guides saying, hey, these fights could go either way. I literally have a section saying avoid these fights, but for the sake of my full card breakdown and prediction video, I have to pick these fights. So that's the only disappointing part that I see. But other than that, like I mentioned earlier, guys, I think it's super cool for the channel where you can look at this stuff, like the most correct picks over here. And let me just switch that a little bit. How about that? There, I'm still getting used to my buttons, guys. Sorry about that. You can see who got the most correct picks. I think it's a really, really cool idea for a card, and they even dive really into it. Like, you can go most money lost, you can go most money won, which I like to see. But the problem with this, again, is the fact that my bets were majorly successful. It's not necessarily, I don't know how much you can, like, if you were to bet on every single fight, I get that, and it's a really cool concept. That's just my only issue with it. And like, to go back to the channel over here, we can see that we have the results for June too. That's another thing that's really cool. We have, and I'm sorry if you guys are hearing that over there. You have the results for June. You can, and there's usually timestamps over there, so you can see the UFC events, the total fights, and I can't imagine how much time and effort has gone into this UFC Predictions Tracker. UFC Predictions Tracker has commented on my channel. I've commented on theirs. They seem like they are very, very nice. I like the content, and I've been watching it. Don't get me wrong. I understand that I just spent a little bit of time, like, I hope you guys understand what I'm saying. I'm not salty. You just have to take my word for that. But you can see, like, these are the problems where you can talk about, like, the money won and lost. That's where my face cam's covering over here. The money won and lost. That's the only problem that I kind of have with it, because it's a little bit not dishonest, but I don't really know if it's really worth, like, if it makes sense. You know what I mean? Because again, I have so many, and I'm not the only one who does this, where it's like, this person can win, this person can win. But I'm making a prediction video. I'm going to say this person's going to win. And I like that you can say you can have least correct picks for every UFC event in June. You can check up on this. I don't even know if I was on there. Okay, whew, I wasn't on there. But I think it's cool that you can check up on it, and because I watch quite a few of these channels, it's cool to see. And maybe for somebody who has a lot of correct predictions, this channel can get some notoriety with it. I think it's a really, really cool channel. It's getting a ton of steam over here, and I think, like I said, it's a really, really good idea. It's just, I wish that it could be edited a little bit, but again, it's not my channel. I'm not complaining about it. I just wish there was something, and I don't really even have the answer for it, you know? Because at the end of the day, like I said, I was predicting these fights. At the end of the day, I did pick Drew Dober or whatever. That's just an example, right? The only problem is, like I said, that so many fights can be pick 'em. This sport is so tough to bet on. I don't understand how people can come up with solid predictions all the time. Regardless, I highly suggest I will leave a link in the pinned comment description down below for UFC Predictions Tracker, guys. It's a fantastic channel. I find it very interesting, and maybe we can do a little bit better. But again, yeah, I think I wanted to promote this channel a little bit, and I understand I have a small audience because there are a lot of people who don't care about like the fight fan aspect. I get comments all the time because I talk about what fighters I would like to see win. I get comments all the time where it's like, I don't care, pick the fight. Or, oh my God, why are you sitting on the fence? Just pick a fight. And I'm like, dude, I'm being honest over here. You know? For those people, I think that you will really, really like this channel. And for me, who just likes MMA and YouTube in general, I think it's a really cool channel to go check out. So guys, I appreciate you being here. The link will be in the pinned comment description down below if you'd like to go check out UFC Predictions Tracker. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for watching. On the screen right now, you can find, if you don't want to go over that channel, if you're already subscribed, you can find this video over here ranking every single MMA content creator. Thank you so much for being here, guys. Take care.